Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the little delay. Just having a few technical difficulties. It might be due to the cold weather that we are enduring here in Michigan. But no, thank everyone for joining in. This is the second part to our How to Be an IUL Expert series. You see, my name is bgeter, and I am the Life and Annuity Manager with Insurance Advisors Direct. So we have a lot of good things in store for you today. And here, let's get this started. So who we are? Who are we? Who is Insurance Advisors Direct? Insurance Advisors Direct is a full service FMO, and we pride ourselves on simplifying your success using our 7 pillars of success, which are our sales tools, our marketing services, technology, product offering, administrative services, training, education, and lead generation. And you put all of that together, and then with the life and annuity initiative, and this is what I call our department. You know, let's start 2024 off with a big bang. So we're going to offer an incentive program for all you life agents. And what we're going to do, starting January 1st, those who submit 10,000 in target premium, give you 250 in marketing dollars. If you have 20,000 in target premium, $500, and 30,000 in target premium, we're going to offer you $750 in marketing dollars. So for the lines of business you can use to qualify, your term, whole life, final expense, universal life, index universal life, and single premium. Now, all business must be placed by April 30th of 2024 in order to cash in on these marketing dollars. So more rules to this, but we'll get to that a little later. Also, a special offer with this webinar series, we'll have 2 coaching sessions. We're going to offer 2 coaching sessions with you with our good friend Chris Schieffer. Now, I will say this from last week when we had our first webinar. We actually have a couple of folks that have signed up for this coaching sessions, and they are currently in the process of writing business just in that week span. So, hey, take advantage of these coaching sessions. It will help you tremendously, like it did those 2 folks. And then, as another offer, we'll host a virtual seminar. One of our IUL strategies, say for instance, this tax diversification or our long-term care hybrid webinar, which is next week. So we'll host that on our platform for you, and then myself, or if Chris had time, one of us will run that for you. Just got to let us know ahead of time. And all we ask for is, you have at least 5 attendees on this seminar to actually make it work. But more details of that when I call everyone after this webinar today, just to let them know. All right. Our third webinar will be January 24th, next Wednesday, 11 a.m. Long-term care and IULs, or long-term care and using as a hybrid, so to speak, policy using chronic illness, or even some of the asset-based plans. Then our last webinar in this series, January 31st, 11 a.m., and the perfect tax-free savings account. Now, this will tie everything in that we talked about on the last previous webinars, and actually you will enjoy this. So here, let's get this started. We're going to get this on over to our good buddy, Chris. Here, let me get our screen over here. All right, Chris Schieffer, take it away, my friend.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm glad to see a bunch of you back with us today. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a presentation to help you understand kind of what the real idea is when we go and talk about IULs and we're talking to our advisors, okay? This is something that you want to know and you want to understand the concept of what this presentation is doing. So when you're talking with your clients, you know, you ultimately want to try to get your client comfortable and you want to get them to open up, okay? You want them to see and realize that, like what we talked about last week when we start building on this, you want them to realize that when it comes to retirement, there's really two humongous problems. And what the problems are is saving enough money to have the retirement that you want. And number two is taxes. Okay. So this presentation is going to walk through, talk about that a little bit. Now, as you're watching this, understand this is a presentation for each and every one of you that is available. This is a presentation that I am willing to, if you set up more than 5 people, okay, don't want you to be saying, hey, I got 5 people that are going to get on the webinar. Want you really to be saying, we want to get 10. Okay, but if you could get with 10, because then when it comes to webinar day, we'll probably end up having, 5 or 6 that are on there. I will present this for you as somebody that you put on to help, teach the folks. Okay, so think about this that way as well. All right, so your route to retirement. What we're doing when I put this together is we're kind of, you can notice there's a map back there and everything, and so we're wanting to sort of talk about how when we get to retirement, it just doesn't happen. You have to have a plan. You have to have a map or a route. Okay. I'm not able to control this right now. I think I'm having some issues. So Bernard, are you able to? Yes. So here we go. So when we look at this right off the bat, right? When we talk about retirement, it's really about picking the destination. For you as the advisor, what does that mean? That means understanding what your client wants, right? They plan on retiring and they want to have $50,000 of income in retirement, and they plan on retiring to wherever. Okay. That's really the destination. Understand where you're going, where you want to be. Bernard, can you click it to, oh, am I able to click that spot? No. So when we look at this, many of our advisors, right, what are they going to do? Or many of our clients, what are they going to do? Retirement is different for everybody. Some people, it's, hey, I'm just going to stay where I'm at. I got enough money. I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to hang out with my grandkids. Me and my significant other, we might just go on walks or do whatever, right? Other people, it's about retiring. And, for a lot of us here that are in a northern climate today, that beach looks real nice, right? So it's like, hey, I'm going to be out of here when I could be out of here. But, again, your goal as the advisor before you start putting anything together is to understand what your client wants and where they are currently. Okay. All right, Bernard. So after we know that, this is where we come down to mapping our course, right? This is where we understand how we're going to get there. This is where you as the advisors, when it comes down to something that might be fresh and new to you, this is where, if you remember, I was talking last week about the idea of setting up that appointment and understanding that that first appointment is gathering information. It's building a rapport with your client, okay? It's making sure that you know what their dreams and goals are. What are their passions? What do they want to happen today? And what do they want to happen in the future? When you know this, this is where you don't need to be an expert. This is where the beauty of working with Bernard and the team at IAD that they have put together is that you bring the information back to them, okay? And we're all going to work together to put a plan that you're able to present to your client on that second meeting. All right, Bernard, go ahead, click through. All right. So when we're putting this plan together and we're talking to our clients, right? This is where I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, you need to understand the concept. You need to understand what's going on out there. And when we look at retirement, there's really two types of obstacles, right? There's the traditional obstacles that have always been there, and there's new obstacles. All right. Okay, Bernard. So when we look at traditional obstacles, right, what are they? And I'm going to go through each of these individually, but traditionally what happened, folks would retire and some of the challenges were living longer, right? Market risk and inflation. Bernard. So when we start talking about people living too long, and you could go ahead, Bernard, and click it so that it shows just everything. We'll just get it up there on this. Couple of clicks. Okay. So when we look at people living too long, right? Well, we don't want to say living too long, but having a longer life expectancy. I mean, look at this. Men and women, 50 out of 100 people are going to live an additional 24, 25 years. If it's a couple, you're looking at 29 years. You guys, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about that. 50 out of 100, 1 out of 2 people, when they retire at the age of 65. Now, I want you to think about this. What's going to happen? Well, people are living longer because we're healthier. Okay. And that means that retirement's not some sedentary thing that you're just retiring and sitting down and watching TV. People go and enjoy life. They travel, they do things. They're still working out. They're playing golf. They're doing whatever it is they're doing. But I want you to think about a 30-year window, right? So let's think about a couple right here that, the numbers show that when you have a significant other, you're living longer. We got basically 30 years. Think about your first 30 years on this life or on this planet. What did you accomplish? You were born. You graduated high school, or you had your first girlfriend or boyfriend, right? You had your first smooch. You graduated high school. You learned how to drive. You went to college, maybe. You graduated college. You got your first job. Maybe you got married. Maybe you had children. Maybe, depending on when you had those children, you now have seen those children grow up and you saw them get into, maybe middle school. Okay. My point is retirement today is not short, it's long. And we got to make sure that people understand and are prepared for that by saving enough money, right? But it's not only about saving the money, it's about where you save the money so that you're able to keep as much of it as possible. Bernard? So, market risk, right? So, what happens when you look at the traditional obstacles that we dealt with, living longer, market risk, inflation? Well, what happened by living longer, people had to take risk in the market. Now, I want to let you all know something. I'm a market guy, okay? I believe in the stock market. I believe everybody has to have money in the market to be able to retire and get through retirement. But I also believe that not all of your money should be in the market. Okay. When we look at this here, let's just go through some numbers. 73 to 75, 1980, another 1980, 1990s. We get into the 2000s, 2008, and then it's not on here, but we had a pandemic that hit, right? Here's what I'm getting at. Does it not look like about every 10 years there's some sort of, if you want to call it a recession or a big drop in the market or something that happens? Hey, your clients, when they're retiring today, they have 2, maybe 3 10-year periods of time in retirement. And so the ball that you guys are juggling, or the balls that you're juggling, is, hey, how do I make sure that my clients are able to continue to grow their money to outpace inflation and taxes and to not like outlive their money, right? But how do I also do that and try to avoid these downturns? Well, that's where we're going to show you a product that fits really well to help that out. Okay, next slide. Look at this right here, sequence of returns, right? So this is where we're going to talk about the market, the returns that are in the market, how that affects your clients. Understand, it's not always what the actual return is, but more so when you get the return. Okay. Most people have some sort of appetite for the risk. This is where you got to make sure to show them how much of their appetite should be risks. But here's the bottom line. Let's just say we got a husband and wife, and they both have a little bit of a difference in philosophy on where their money is to be. We'll say that you know, the husband has it in one spot, the wife has it in a different sort of investment, right? And here's what happens. So the husband gets a 27 in his first year. Now think about this. We're looking at retiring. To me, very key points in times are the year before, the year of, and the 2 years after your retirement. These are a key point in time. And if we look at scenario 1, the year before this gentleman retired, he got a 27% return. The year that he retired, he got a 9%. The year after his retirement, okay, he got a 7. And then the next year, a negative 15. Now, if we look at the person to the right, they're the same numbers. It's the same washed out return. All I did was flip the numbers, okay? But let's go ahead to the next slide and see how that affects your client's ability in retirement. All right, look at this right here. The simple returns that you get are the difference between having money for 20 years and having money for 30 years. Okay? It's a 13-year difference simply by having a negative return right away versus having a positive return. Okay? It's very, very important that we understand this because, again, when we get to the brass tacks here, what we're going to notice and see is that we got a product that's able to help reduce these drastic changes. Next slide, please. Inflation, right? We all understand inflation. Right now, we've been dealing with it a bit, okay? Truth is, right now, in all reality, the numbers show inflation's lower than it was for many years prior to the peak that we just had happen like 2 years ago. Okay, but here's the thing. You can look at what a Mustang cost in 1968 versus what it costs in 2019. Okay, um, the price of things continually go up. So let's not forget about it. Let's not think that, oh, inflation is something that just happens when something weird goes on in the economy or the world or whatever. That's not the case. Inflation is always there. Okay? The price of goods are always going up. And this is why when we start looking at our retirement that our clients want and we start considering the products that they're going to use, we need to make sure that we're able to get the best return for the least amount of risk for them, right? That's important. Next slide. All right. New obstacles of retirement. Folks, when we get through this, I'm going to pull it all together for you. Okay. So, what have we already talked about? We've talked about obstacles, and these are obstacles that have always been there. Many of you have heard these obstacles and have heard about this throughout time, right? Longevity, inflation, market risk. Now, those are obstacles that your grandparents, your parents, your great grandparents, those are obstacles that they dealt with. Now, today, each and every one of us on this call and our clients that we have right now are going to deal with those obstacles as well, but they also have to deal with 3 new obstacles. Okay. They have to deal with the uncertainty of Social Security, diminishing pensions, which are basically gone already, and debt. So let's go ahead and look at these one by one. If we could go through to the next slide, Bernard. So when you look at Social Security, just go ahead and click so that the stuff comes up, Bernard. What they look at doing is they look at a 75-year solvency on this, all right? And we're actually, if you think about this, 2035. You look at that number and you think, whoa, that's a long way out. Huh. Not really when you get back to the fact and say, wow, we're already in 2024, right? Off topic, I was laughing because I was talking to somebody about, man, I remember when Y2K was coming around and how that was such a worry. And it's like, oh my God, we're going into the year 2000. Man, Not only did we forget about that, but we moved past, man, we're already in 2024, 24 years past that time. Amazing. Time marches on. In any event, when we look here, a 75-year solvency, that there's going to be some reassessments and stuff going on, and they're already looking at this stuff. One of the things that they're thinking about is a permanent 3.65% point payroll tax increase, right? What does that mean? That means that today, what gets taken out of our paychecks to go towards Social Security is going to increase by 3.65%. Why is that important? Think about this. Anybody that you talk to that's 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, 60 years old, right? Right now, everything being equal, they're going to have more money to save today than they're going to have in 11 years. Simply because one of the ideas that's being tossed around is the idea of increasing the amount that they take out of our paycheck to fund Social Security. That's one reason why when you talk to your clients, right? Whether they're 65 years old or whether they're 20 years old, right? The time is now. You've all heard the biggest issue that you have with retirement and saving is losing time. Or your biggest friend, another way of saying it, is the time that you have. The younger you are, the less you have to save to reach something. So you know what? Get people saving today. There's no waiting. What's the next issue that we have here, Bernard? Can you pop it up? We're going to be talking a little bit here about a reduction in benefits. Another reason why looking at this, right? A reduction, a 23% reduction. Imagine that. Think about that. Do the math on that. Let's just say you were going to get $1,000 Social Security check. Well, a 23% reduction means you're only going to get $770. That's a difference. That could impact people. Those of you that are on this call that sell a lot of Medicare, Medicare Advantage, drug plans, start thinking about what that $230 means when you put it into relationship to what you got to spend. Okay? Now's the time. Take advantage of the fact that, hey, why don't we go ahead and use the 3.65% of your pay that you have right now? I don't know what it amounts to, but why don't we use that and start saving that to see if we can make sure to secure that even if the government reduces benefits, you don't have to worry about it because you've saved money to account for that. Now, number 3 is really a combination of both, which is what I think is going to happen, is there's going to be some sort of combination. But the bottom line, folks, something's going to happen. I don't want to pull this call into politics, but you have one side of the aisle that wants to do nothing more than take money out of the Social Security fund. They want to take that money out and they want to fund wars, and they want to take that money out and be able to lower taxes for a certain segment of people. Okay. You have another group that wants to tax you more. They want to get more money to try to make this stuff be, fixed. I'm here to tell you, I'm hoping, and most of what the people that run in these circles know is that both sides of this aisle understand that they got to come together on this issue and figure out how to fix it. So there's probably going to be some combination. Next slide, please. I'm going to be real quick with this, okay? I started in this business in 1998, and this is the truth. I used to run into people who had pensions all the time. Today, like nobody has them. Unless you're a cop or a fireman, or some sort of county employee with something, government employee. They're too costly. Okay, next slide. Taxes and debt, right? We can go to the next slide. We don't need to worry about this. When we start looking at taxes, here's what we're going to look at. Some of my numbers are going to be a little bit off, Bernard, if you could click them through to get them up here. I specifically left my presentation to be what it was the year before COVID, okay? Because I want to make a point, and the point that I want to make is this. COVID was what, 3 years ago? 4 years ago? Whatever it was now? Okay? We were $23 trillion in debt. COVID hit and different things happened. We're now almost $34 trillion in debt. 34 trillion. That's like $11 trillion in 3 or 4 years that's been added to the national debt. Part of that is taxation on businesses and individuals got lowered with the previous administration, so there's less money coming in while there's still money going out, right? And then you had COVID where we had all this stuff that happened. Here's my point. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter. The government is not going to do things to really truly cut spending, right? They're not going to do it. And so it's going to continue to go up unless they do the one thing that everybody knows that's going to happen, and that's raise taxes. Next slide, please. So let's just talk about $1 trillion so we could all grasp this, okay? $1 trillion, all right? When you look at $1 trillion, can you click again, Bernard? Okay. $1 trillion here. Let's think about this. I think this is when you look at $1 trillion, if you have like 620,000 mid-size cars, I think that's what the number is here. I'm not looking at this. 620,000 mid-size cars. Okay, folks? That's a big number. 620,000 mid-size cars. Okay, the weight of those cars is less than $1 trillion. Or another way of looking at it, 620,000 mid-size cars. You could buy each and every one of those cars over 380 times and still be a little under $1 trillion spent. That's 1 trillion. Bernard, move forward. 1 trillion, right, is more than the cost of 620,000 mid-sized cars being bought 380 times. And we're talking 33, almost $34 trillion that we're in debt. Huh. Here's the deal, folks. There's really 2 ways to offset it. Spend less, tax more. Like I said before, what do you think is most possible? What do you think is really going to happen? You able to click through, Bernard? What do you believe is more realistic, right? What do you believe? Let's keep going. All right, so here's something that happened, right? Taxes were lowered in 2018. There was a new tax law that went in effect that taxes were lowered for individuals until 2025. All right, April 15th, 2026, those rates are going up. Sunset provision is being enacted as of right now. Okay, now here's the deal that's crazy. I want each and every one of you to know. Corporations, their tax rate is staying at what it is. They permanently lowered theirs, but on you, the individual, on your client, the individual, they didn't permanently do it. They put a sunset provision in there so that if the national debt goes out of whack, they're able to come back and tax you. Now, let's remember this. Okay, let's remember this when we look at the planning that we do for our clients. Next page, please. So some people say, man, in America, we're taxed through the nose. This is ridiculous. Oh my God, I live in Michigan. I live in Illinois. I live in New York. I live in California. I live wherever I live. I'm getting taxed out my nose. It's horrible. Listen, no, you're not. No, you're not. If you look at this from about 1938, okay, from about 1938 until like 1963, the top federal, okay, or top marginal federal income tax rate was above 80%, at sometimes above 90%. Okay. If we look at about 1938 to about 1983, the top marginal federal income tax rate hovered right at 70%. It's neither here nor there, but the point I'm trying to make with this is we have been taxed at higher rates. The government has precedent in doing that, and they will do it again. Okay? Bottom line, it could happen. Let's go to the next slide. Right? Here's what we do in America: lower taxes while increasing spending. All right, let's move on. Okay, guys, here's the thing. David Walker, I don't know if you really know who he is, but he was America's CPA. He was like the comptroller general. He wrote the checks, and he said the fastest growing expense in the federal government is interest, okay? Within 10 years, we could be paying more for interest than on national defense. Folks, this is where it gets hard. Our national debt, you cannot take away enough spending to lower the debt when the interest that has to be paid on it is more than half of our national budget. Okay? It's just not able to happen. Your clients need to realize taxes are going up. I hate to keep pounding this down, but everything says taxes are going up. We all know it. I was at a business thing that this guy named Brett Baer. He's some guy on Fox News. If you were to see him, you would know who he is. But he gave a presentation, and I was there, and he was talking basically about everybody that comes on his show, whether it's a politician, whether it's a banker, whether it's somebody that deals with Wall Street, whoever it is. Everybody behind the scenes says, listen, I don't care what anybody says, but taxes are going to go up. Okay, that train has started rolling, and you really can't stop it. So, how do we take this information? How do we work with our clients? How do we talk to them, right? So, what we know is this: we know they got two problems: saving enough money to reach the retirement that they want, and taxes. How's that going to impact that? Okay. We also know that you've spoke to your client and you discussed with them, hey, for me, the advisor, to help you out, I got to understand what you want, where you want to go, what are your dreams, what are your goals, right? And what we know is we then need to work on the numbers. The numbers are the numbers, but our clients need to understand why. And the reason why is that everything right now is stacking up to say, hey, look, taxes are going up. That's almost the biggest problem that you have in retirement. So, how do we help them reach that goal? How do we get there? Well, let's talk about the types of money, and let's talk about how you have to put these plans together for your client. Next page. Next slide. So when we think about money, let's think about it as a tax triangle, okay? There's really three types of money. There's taxable money, right? And in the next slides, we're going to show what these are a little bit, but there's taxable money. That's things like your current income, CDs, bank accounts, things like that that you get 1099s on. There's tax deferred money, which are things like your retirement accounts, right? Your 401k, your 403b, your pension, your IRA, right? Annuities. Things like this are tax deferred. Now, what your job is and what you need to do is you need to look at your clients' dreams and goals. You need to look at where they are currently and where they want to go. And you need to do all you can to get your clients above. And I say this all the time when I talk to people in crowds, when I talk to individual clients, when I talk to individual clients and their families. What I do is I help you get as much money as possible above the line. We want to get above that line, right? We want to get our money into a tax-free position. We're not going to be able to get it all there. We're not. But you got to remember, you want to get a third of somebody's money into a tax-free position. That's the number that you think about, okay? So when you look at tax-deferred sort of things, Bernard, can you click and have it pop up? Now, when we talk tax-free, folks, before we click this, I want you all to understand, well, there we go. There's really three things that we could do, right? There's three legal accounts that can be used that generate tax-free income. Municipal bonds, otherwise known as a muni bond. Not very popular today unless you're extremely wealthy. Risk versus reward with those are out of whack, okay? We've all heard about municipalities, cities going bankrupt, right? There's a lot of risk with those to get very low return. Extremely wealthy people, though, don't care because it's a way that they can put, millions of dollars in there and still get a return or an income stream that's tax free, right? The Roth IRA. This is the sexy one that everybody thinks about. Hey, the Roth IRA. I'm going to put in after tax dollars. It's going to grow tax deferred and it's tax free when I bring it out. Great account. Everybody should have one in conjunction with a IUL or a whole life contract that specifically is going to grow cash to help. Here's the thing, your Roth IRA, 99% of all assets in Roth IRAs are invested in mutual funds and ETFs. Nothing wrong with that, except for when you do that, you are taking full market exposure. Let's also remember the Roth IRA, you have to have it for 5 years and be 59 and a half before you could take that money out with it being tax-free, right? The other issue, if you want to call it this, with the Roth IRA is the fact that there are contribution limitations and income qualifications, okay? If you make too much money, you can't put money in the Roth IRA. If you make not enough money, okay, I shouldn't say that. If you make enough money that you're under the threshold, you might want to save more money than what they allow you to put into the Roth IRA, $6,500. Okay? So this is where having an IUL combined with that Roth IRA, and I always tell people to start the IUL first because it brings all the other components, but the IUL is going to bring to the table that you don't need to have it for 5 years. You don't need to wait till 59 and a half. Okay? The type of accounts that we work with, the way the IUL works, it's going to give you the upside of the market without the downside. You will never lose money due to market performance. Incorporating that, we're going to be mitigating risk that they have in their other market-driven accounts, right? Remember earlier we were talking about people living longer, and as such, they need to make sure they get returns so they have enough money. But we also need to look at our sequence of returns and make sure we're not losing money. That's going to happen, but we want to try to mitigate that, right? And this is where the IUL fits perfect in there to get some of their money. It allows them to know that that's going to do nothing but sit level or go up. Okay. Next slide, please. The power of life insurance. I like to call it the IUL. It's also known as 7702 planning. For those of you that don't understand that, 7702 is tax code for cash value life insurance. Just like a 401k is tax code for a shared retirement plan between an employee and an employer. Okay? What does 7702 allow you to do? It allows you to have an income-free death benefit, which is a self-completing feature, right? It allows you to have tax-deferred growth on the money. It allows you to take money out tax-free. It allows you to have leveraged tax-free living benefits. It allows you, depending on your state, to have protection from creditors on the money that's there, and you're not taking market risk while still being able to get market-like returns. Next page. All right, guys and gals, let's talk about IUL. Why does it work? Why is it great? Well, the single greatest thing in the financial markets today is the annual reset. Okay. What the annual reset means is if you can look at this graph and we can think about two different types of accounts. Let's think about our 401k. Let's think about our brokerage account. Let's think about our IRA. Right. Let's think about these accounts being invested directly in the stock market. They go up and down. Now, let's go ahead and let's compare this to the blue line, right? The black line is your market investments. The blue line, okay, this is your IUL, the 7702 plan. Okay. So what does the annual reset mean? Well, the annual reset means this. If you look at year one, the market went up, or your index that your account is using went up. So your money went up. You can see there was a step up at the end of the year. It went up, and there's a little lock there. What that lock is showing is that now your money's locked in. You will never lose it. Year two, again, index goes up. In theory, the market went up, right? We lock in another gain. All right, year three. Year three is one of the years we've been dealing with, not this past year, but one of the years before that, where the market took a big dip. Okay. Market takes a 10, 15% dip. Well, your 401k is down 10 or 15%. Your IRA is down 10 or 15%. Your brokerage account is down 10 or 15%. Your IUL, if you look at it right there, in that year when the market went down, well, your money was locked in. You didn't lose anything, right? You just ended up getting a 0% return. Maybe you got a little bit of a return. Some accounts, like an Allianz account, gives you 0.90%, or I'm sorry, 0.10. All right. Now, if we look at year three to year four, now what we're seeing is hey, the market came back. It went up. Again, your 401k, your 403b, these accounts, if we could go back here, Bernard, we went forward. If you go back, one more. Right here, year three, the market went back up, but you know what? Your investment accounts are still way down. You haven't come close to making back what you lost, but here's the cool thing. Look at that. The annual reset, this is where the power of that is. Even though your money was locked in beginning year three, your new point that is used, your annual point to point that's used to calculate your interest earned, goes down to that low point in the market. So now year three to year four, even though your investments might still be down, your IUL actually got a gain because of the annual reset. And you can see that your money went up that year and got locked in. The annual reset is huge. Okay. So folks, when we pull this all together, what's the issue? The issue is clients need planning. They need to understand where they're going. The reason they talk to you is they don't know how to get there. All right. They know they got to save money. They don't know how to do it. So what we're doing is we're going to go in there and we're going to help them understand, hey, where do you really want to go? And what do you need to be able to get there? And then we're going to help put that map together, if you will. We're going to help them to understand what it is that you're doing, is you want them to realize that the issues they have is not just saving enough money and accumulating enough money, but it's taxes. I've said that probably 10 times now. So when we work with our clients, we're going to help them understand that they need to have a good amount of money that's in different types of money, right? They're going to have some money that's taxable that they're saving in a rainy day fund, if you will. That idea that you got to have 3 to 6 months saved, that's going in the bank, that's going in a savings account. We need them to understand that they got to take advantage of those retirement accounts at work. But they don't want to be putting lots of money in there above any match that they're going to get, because anything above the match, well, really all that money is going to be taxable, right? But hey, there's nothing better than getting free money. So you got to make sure that they're taking advantage of that and getting that free money. And the last thing that we need them to understand is, hey, you got to get tax-free money, okay? And the reason why is national debt, taxes going up, right? What do you think's more realistic? Are the politicians going to cut spending? Are they going to stop asking for pay raises for themselves? Are they going to stop their own pensions and their own health insurance and everything that they get? They're not going to stop that. They'll try to stop things for everybody else, but not themselves. And the bottom line is they're not really going to be able to cut enough spending to curb any of the increased debt that we have. They're going to increase taxes. And when you get that story across to your clients and you get them to understand that, hey, look, the idea is we want to have a third of your money. We want to have that in an idea or in a spot where it's going to be tax-free. Okay. So what do we do now? How do we do this? How do we move forward? Well, the big thing that I want you all to know is when you're talking to your clients, tell them the time is now. Bernard, you could go to the next slide. Tell them the time is now, right? Click through this thing, Bernard, get the things up there. Do your clients really want to rely on the government to get us to and through retirement? Is that where they want to be? Again, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just trying to say, do we want those folks to do that? Or do we want to go ahead and realize that some of my retirement's going to come from Social Security and my health insurance is going to come from Medicare and Medicare Advantage and things like that? But do I need to make sure that I have my retirement really taken care of outside of that, right? Here's a great one. Do you prefer to pay taxes on the seed or the harvest, right? Would you rather pay taxes on a bag of seed, or would you rather pay taxes on the produce that results or that makes in the future, right? You'd rather pay taxes now, okay? And hey, are we able to time the market? Do we know what's going on with that? Nobody could time the market. Next slide. So what is the first step, right? And this is where if I were giving this presentation to a group of people that you got on, I'd let them know. The first step is to get a hold of agent A. The first step is to get a hold of representative B. Okay? Call them. Let them help assess your current situation, what your dreams and goals are, where you want to end up, okay? Let them help you understand what those actually are and let them show you how they could get you there because that's what they're experts in, okay? Next one. So let's start planning that now, okay? So everybody, I want you to know when I went through this right now with you is sometimes it's a little difficult trying to talk to you guys as advisors to understand how to use the presentation versus what the presentation means, right? But hopefully what you got out of it is a presentation that what I'm trying to show is I'm trying to show what the obstacles to retirement are. And I'm trying to make sure that people, that you and that your clients understand that the obstacles that we've always known are still there, but we have new ones layered on. Okay, with the biggest of those being the outlook for taxes and the fact that they're going to lower your retirement income by trying to take away from Social Security. It's what they're going to do. Now, again, full disclosure, I don't know that they're going to ever really lower what those payments are, but what I think they're going to do is a lot of people are going to have a rude awakening when they want to retire and they're told, hey, you can't get Social Security till you're 70 years old, right? They're going to do that. Okay. We need to make up the difference. This is why your job is so key and so important, okay? So, understand the concept, right? The concept is let's get to tax-free. The concept is the reason we want to get there is because of rising taxes, okay? So, does anybody have any questions now? I would gladly take some questions.
All right, no questions for Chris, folks. Let's see what we have here. Is there any way I could get, and I guess you a copy of this presentation? Yes. We will definitely have once our media team cleans up this presentation, we will definitely forward it on over to you. Andrea, yes, you're able to use this presentation for your clients. And one of the things that Chris and I is offering, either him or I, we can do this presentation for you. You can do it on our Zoom platform. And as long as you have a minimum of 5 folks, that's willing to, or 5 of your clients that's willing to view this presentation. We'd be glad to do it for you. We have invitations that we can customize for you, so you can send out to your folks. This presentation can also be customized. Yes, Constance, you can get a copy of the first training as well. Okay, folks. Do we have any other questions for Chris? Right. So, seeing none, just chime in next week. Like I say, this will be on IULs and long-term care. Here, let's see. Andrea says, if I want to do a presentation at the YMCA, you'll be willing to help with the presentation. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll be willing to help out with the presentation. Okay. So as I was saying, chime in next week for our IULs and the uses with long-term care. That presentation you can also use with your clients, and then that same offer still there. Chris or I will be glad to do a virtual seminar for you with that presentation, with this presentation. As I'm going to say, just try to get a minimum of 5 folks there, and that kind of makes it worthwhile for you. So yeah, we're here to help you out with that. Second offer that we had talked about earlier is 2 coaching sessions with Chris on IULs. Probably more of a in-depth training as opposed to the webinars. And folks, I would really take advantage of that. Like I said, we had 2 folks take advantage of it, and they are in the process of submitting business. So, yep. So let's do that, folks. Chris, do you have anything else to add?
I have nothing. I just hope that everybody sees that when we'll gladly help with these presentations. And I had a lot of fun with the 2 other advisors on going through some of the opportunities they had. And, we went through those opportunities and they were a bit nervous, but they ended up being able to have good, efficient meetings. And like Bernard said, we got some apps that are going to get done. So folks, please don't let this fall on deaf ears. The time is now. Use this information and get out and talk to your prospects, and let's get some opportunities that we're working on. Bernard's got a lot of marketing dollars and things that are able to come your way. Take advantage of this, please. I'm here to help.
Constance, to your question, I'm going to give everyone a call after this webinar, and maybe about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. So I'll give you a call, and and we can discuss this a little bit further on how to reach one of us. All right, folks. So if that is it, everybody have a great day today. Please stay warm. These temperatures is kind of ridiculous right now. I'll say pretty much when we were all growing up, we were 9, 10, 12 years old, even 14, we were out playing in this type of weather. But now in our late 40s, mid 50s, this stuff is disrespectful. So everybody, stay warm. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.